in the previous lecture, we managed to discover this path right here, which allows us to discover an email and a username on the target application. And all of this is inside this directory, which would probably contain even more information. So as we mentioned previously, that very discovery is actually an information disclosure bug and is enough to submit a bug report or to include in your pentest report. But if you look more, you'll find stuff about saying remove admin password, and it just seems like there is more into this directory. And assuming you don't know what Git means, what this directory means, this is where the hacker mentality or the bug hunter mentality comes into play. If you see something like this that seems like you could extract more information from, or if you see something that you don't fully understand what it is, you should actually stop, go and learn more about this application or framework, and then come back and see if the information that you learned will allow you to discover more information or exploit the target system more. A lot of bug hunters face really difficult walls as they're discovering bugs, and they could pause for months to learn more about whatever barrier that they're facing and then come back and employ whatever they learned. So, assuming we know nothing about Git, you can simply go on Google and look up what is Git. And the first result that you will get will explain to you that Git is a software to track changes, and it's usually used by programmers to collaborate on projects that they develop. So straight away, this directory now seems more interesting because it means that whatever data that is in here is being shared by the developers of the target application. And looking at this message in here, we can see that there is some mention of a password. So they might be sharing passwords through this, and we might be able to find this password because they're saying you should remove it. So the password must be buried somewhere in here. Now, like I said, just simply reading a description in here is not enough. You need to understand this framework or this application, how it works and why it works, and then see if this knowledge is applicable to the bug that you are trying to discover. So, learning more about Git tells us that developers use it to develop in applications, and you will learn that there is a GUI that you could use in order to browse such projects. And you can simply download the GUI from their downloads page. They support all operating systems. We're on Windows, so we're going to download the Windows version. And I have a 64-bit computer, so I'm going to download the 64-bit version. And once downloaded, we're simply just going to run the installer, say yes in here, and just click next, 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 next to install it with the default options. Once done, I'm just going to untick this box to not see the release notes, and we will be able to run it by simply going to our start menu and looking up Git, and we have the GUI in here. And as soon as you run it, you can see you have three options. You can either create a new repository, you can clone an existing one, or open an existing one. Now what we have right now is an existing repository stored at this URL. So before opening it, we're going to have to download all of the contents in here. So we're going to copy this URL. We're going to open up our terminal. And you want to make sure that you are in the WSL terminal, not in the normal Windows command prompt. We're going to clear the screen. And we're going to use the wget command to download all of the contents in this directory. And because this is a folder or a directory, it's not a file, we're going to use the -R option to recursively download all of the contents in that directory. And then we're going to paste the URL. So you can paste by simply pressing the right click on your mouse. And we're going to hit enter. So you probably guessed by now this command will work from Linux as well because wget is a Linux command. And that's why I said you want to make sure that you run it from this terminal and not from the normal Windows command prompt. So right now we're in the user's user directory. So if I go to my file manager and just go to C, users, user, you'll see that we have a new directory in here. And the name of this directory is actually the same as the name of my target website. And inside it, I will have the Git directory along with all of its contents. So we're going to go back to the Git GUI application that we downloaded. We're going to click on Open Repository. We're going to use the Browse button to browse to the location where we downloaded it. And we have it in C user. We're already in that location right now, and you can see it right here. So we're going to double click it to access it, and we're not going to access the Git directory. We're going to stay here. We're just going to say select folder. We're going to click on open. And perfect. As you can see now, everything is loading for me inside this program that developers use in order to collaboratively work on code. And straight away, you can see something staring in your face in red saying the admin password is equal to a variable. So this is not an actual password, but because it's in red, it means that somebody recently modified this file. Now, to see all of the history of the modifications that were made in this project, we can go to repository and visualize master's history. And once we do that, you can see in here, we have a note saying remove admin password from the config. And if we look at the details, you can see in green, we have the new modification, so the current version of the project, and that's what we saw when we first launched the project. But in red, and we can see a minus before it, meaning that this line was removed, we have the old version of the project. And in the old version, you can see that we have the admin password right here. Now, I know I've done a number of steps in order to get to this point, but that's what I meant at the start before I said this, that you need to have the bug hunter or the hacker mentality, where once you see something, you want to go and learn about it and see how it's used. So when you go and learn about Git, you'll understand that using Git, you're able to see previous versions of the application. And therefore, what we're doing right now is we're seeing a previous version of the application where the password was included or hard-coded in the code. So now, assuming that the admin did not change their password, I'll be able to copy it and then go to my target website and go to the login page and log in with the username administrator. Now you can try admin or administrator. There will be a little bit of guessing with this because we don't know what the username is, but I'm going with administrator. We'll put the password. We're going to click on login. And perfect. As you can see, we are now logged in as administrator. So we managed to elevate the bug that we discovered previously, where we were only to see some information, to the point where we are able to log in as admin. And we were able to do all of this by simply investigating the information that we discovered more and spending more time learning about how this application is built and how the developers share the code. And as a result, we are now able to log in as the administrator. So if you submit your bug this way now, as opposed to what we have submitted in the previous lecture, you will get a much higher bounty because the impact now is much higher than what it would have been at the stage that it was at in the last lecture.